I'm John Fredericks, your Godzilla of the truth in America, your oracle of the deplorables. Hey, we're live in Washington, D.C., the nation's most beautiful, safest city in America. Great to have you with us. Joining me now by phone, Congressman, 9th District, Virginia, Morgan Griffith, member of the Freedom Caucus. If you don't know the 9th District, pre-redistricting gerrymandering, it runs from basically Salem all the way to the border, the three borders, bigger than New Jersey. Huge district. And Morgan zips back and forth. He covers it all. Great constituent service. Member of the Freedom Caucus. Great guy. Speaks truth to power like me. Truth and clarity. That's what you're going to get for Congressman Morgan Griffith, 9th District, Virginia Republican. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Great to be with you, as always.
So, here we are. I want your take on Iran.
Wow. It appears that, they were continuing with their aggression towards the United States. This is one of those mornings I kind of wish that I was on your TV show, but we didn't have time to get it all set up. But I have an armband I'm looking at right now that the Emory and Henry College Republicans put out in 1979 to commemorate that we had 50-plus hostages held by the Iranians. They took aggressive action. And I'm going to take a minute of personal privilege. It was particularly emotional because, as you remember, that Jimmy Carter came in 80 and tried to send in a rescue team, and he waited too long. He dithered, he dallied, and he waited too long to send them in. Everybody told him, if you wait until, I think it was March, it might have been early April, you're going to run into sandstorms. But he didn't give the order until sometime during that time period. Helicopters went down. We lost soldiers in a failed attempt to rescue our hostages. I believe it was 8, one of whom was from Roanoke, Virginia. And I had worked with his sister. His name was Harvey, Sergeant Harvey. And Sergeant Harvey's sister had worked with me at the Lehigh McDonald's. And, it is always horrible when you have people who die in conflict trying to do the right thing for our country, as we've had the 6 who've died so far in this conflict. But it's even worse when it's because of orders that were given improperly or that the plan wasn't well thought out. So when we look at this plan, we have a country that's been aggressive to us since you and I were under 20, 21, in that neighborhood. And they have threatened us repeatedly. They have organized hits on American soldiers. And I do think that war has to be declared by Congress, but I think the president has power to take an opportunity when he sees it. It goes all the way back to Jefferson, and we can talk about that if you want. But the bottom line is the president saw an opportunity with a country that clearly has been at war with us since the 1970s. And in the latest, we said you can't have nuclear weapons, and they were not negotiating in good faith. And the supreme commander, the Ayatollah, wasn't going to do anything but try to run out the clock and hope that once again they could convince the Americans not to take the action that needed to be taken. And President Trump took the action. And so while I believe that at some point, depending on the length of the war and where we stand, that Congress is going to have to take a declaration, whether it be an authorization of the use of military force or otherwise, I believe the president has done the right thing in this case. But it is something that Congress gets to judge. Now, interestingly, and I don't know how long you want me to ramble on, but I will tell you, John.
As long as you want.
All right, we have this War Powers Act coming up that my friend, and I like Thomas Massie, and he's been right on some things, but he's drafted up a War Powers resolution. I've read the War Powers resolution. I will be voting against it because it says that you can't spend any money in this in Iran. You can't have any activity in Iran, and we're already there. And so I will be voting against it, but the way I read it, if it is defeated, and I'm not sure it will be in the House, But if it is defeated in both the House and the Senate, I think it's a de facto declaration of war, because it says we're taking a vote that says you can't spend any money. The converse of that is, if it fails both houses, and it has to fail both houses, and it may not, but if it fails both houses, isn't that permission from Congress to spend money in Iran? I think
Yes.
it is. I think it's actually a backdoor declaration of war.
Do you have the votes?
I don't know. It'll be up to the Democrats. There are some pro-Israel, anti-Iran Democrats. We still have a few hawks on the Democrat side who want to look out for America's interest in the international arena, and we'll see if they vote with us or if they vote with Hakeem Jeffries.
You lose one vote in the House, and that's Massie. I can't imagine another Republican in your conference. I can't imagine another Republican voting for Massie's bill. I can't imagine how they would go back to their constituents and avoid a Republican primary and have the fate of your colleague, Dan Crenshaw, who, by the way, got crushed, right? It's not like he got beat 51-49. Crenshaw, who didn't have the endorsement of President Trump, who had his opponent, I think it was Seth Roth, state senator or state representative Roth, crushed him. I mean, it was like, 59-41. They beat him by 20 points. Who was going to vote with Massie on that?
I can't imagine anybody, but I've seen stranger things happen on the floor. You never know.
I don't think you'll lose a vote. Maybe Crenshaw, right now that he's out, he's pissed. Maybe he'll vote no, so that gives you two. What's your majority now in the House? 2 votes?
We can't. Yeah, we if we lose 2 votes and all the Democrats are there and voting, we lose.
Oh my God! You got a 2-vote margin. It's unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how you get anything done. I got to hand it to Mike John. How do you get anything done with a two-vote majority? How do you get anything done? My God!
It's a good question, and he keeps getting it done.
And then you really got a 1-vote majority because Massie votes no on everything. So basically, you got a 1-vote majority. I mean, oh my goodness gracious! Think about that, folks. I mean, this is what any detractors of Johnson out there, stop. I mean, look what this guy's got to work with. He's got a 1-vote majority, basically. You know, one guy that votes against him like 90% of the time. Oh my heavens! Well, I think we'll see what Crenshaw does. I'm really not sure what his position. I've not followed him, but the only Republican in Texas who didn't get Trump's endorsement, and he got, I saw those numbers. This is an incumbent Congress. He's like 3 terms or 4 terms, a veteran, injured in war, lost an eye, I believe, and he got like crushed. So Texas had enough of this. We'll see what happens. You think you get any Democrats at all?
There are several who've indicated they will vote no. So I think we do. But we'll see. They'll be under a lot of pressure. But there are at least 3 who've talked about possibly voting no. And if we pick up 3 on their side, we're home free.
Right. I'm not going to have you mention their names because then they'll get me in calls once this tape gets out. So we're not going to do that. Let's just hope they vote no. When does that vote come up, Morgan?
I expect it tomorrow. Theoretically, it could be the next time we're in D.C., which I guess is next week. But I expect it tomorrow. Okay.
And then when would it go to the Senate?
The Senate has their own that they're working on. So ours would go over to the Senate, but Tim Kaine is leading the Senate version. And I think they're the same, but I haven't read Tim Kaine's yet.
All right. I think you're good shape in the Senate because Fetterman's going to vote again. If it's the same as Massie, Fetterman's voting no, right? He just came on TV and said that. So you got to vote there. It's probably the only vote you're going to get out of the Senate. So you got to vote there, and then you got basically the gang of 3. I don't know what Murkowski will vote no, and Tillis will vote no, and whoever else is going to vote no in there. Rand Paul. So you lose 3, gain 1. You're still up. Plus Vance can break the tie. I think you're in better shape. I think you're in good shape in the Senate with Fetterman.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It will not pass the Senate. The only question is, does the resolution pass the House?
Right. So you're good shape in the Senate. Got to pass the House. Could have three. All you really need is two or one. Um, wow, it's cutting it. It's cutting. Man, you guys are threading the needle in there. Wow, one vote. Okay, let me ask you this. Let me just ask you a political question because you got a great political mind. So Fetterman is up. I ran against him with Oz, as you know. Oz is my friend. Mem. By the way, Mem's a great guy. He's doing a super job. But, John is John. So he's going to be up in 28, right? There's no way he survives a Democrat primary in Pennsylvania. No chance of him winning a primary. He will lose. Have you guys talked to him? I know you're not in the Senate, but just, you bump into him in the runway tunnel. You guys ever talk to him about maybe switching over to us?
Well, I haven't, but I would be shocked if some of our colleagues on the Senate side had not spoken with him about it. And it's hard, even when your party's wrong. It's hard to leave a party that is, that you've been a part of for a long period of time. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. But if he doesn't switch to being a Republican or an independent with Republican backing, I don't see how he gets reelected.
No, he's out. He'll get crushed in a Democrat primary. So he should come to us, and I think if he comes to us, obviously he'll be challenged by a Republican candidate, right? So he's going to have to win a Republican primary either way. Kind of reminds me of when Arlen Specter switched the other way, and I forget what happened to him. He didn't get he didn't get elected again. I don't know if he got beaten the general or the primary. I really don't remember, but he switched there and it didn't work out for him. But I don't think Fetterman's got a choice. I mean, he's not going to win a primary there, especially with Josh Shapiro running for president. He's got no shot. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, big news, big news. Thank you for that, Morgan. SAVE Act, where's that?
It's still stagnant in the Senate. We've tried to put as much pressure on them as we can, but it doesn't apparently have the votes to get past the obnoxious modern filibuster cloture rule and go to the so-called standing or historical filibuster. I don't get it, but there you have it. That's where we're at right now.
It's dead in the water, right? Other than that,
I don't know that it's dead, but right now it's certainly afloat on a still pond with no oars. So we'll see.
It's got a hole in the boat, and you're trying to bail it out. But you never know what the president, if he gets on the phone. But I know when he first started this, he had 8 votes out of 53. 8. Now I think it's probably up, into the 30s maybe. But you're a long way, and he needs 50 votes, right? You get no Democratic votes. You need 50. Can Vance break the tie? He can, right?
Yeah, he can break the tie.
It's not reconciliation or taxes. So Vance can break the tie. So you need 50 votes. You're probably about 20 short. So we'll see what happens there. Big thing in Congress, other than the 2 major things we talked about. What is it? Coming up in the House.
Well, one of the things, as a result of where we're at right now, we think, and we saw this happen in Austin, we think that there's going to be more threat in the homeland because we've actually taken aggressive action towards Iran, and we need to get Homeland Security funded. And the Democrats are still saying they don't want to fund ICE, even though a lot of these people that are now a threat to us are, in fact, the ones that ICE is trying to hunt down. The people who came in illegally, shouldn't have been allowed to stay, have ties to, foreign governments, foreign countries, or criminal gangs, or, were let out of prisons. And that's unfortunate, but they don't want to fund them. Now, there's lots of money there, fortunately, because we did that in the reconciliation bill. But still, you want to have everybody get paid, and the Democrats are now trying to sever out everything except ICE They tried that move last night in rules, but it's just a gimmick. They don't want to fund ICE. They don't want to have our country secure, and they want to somehow claim that that there's they're negotiating or they're willing to discuss things. Look, I agree with body cams. I think body cams help a lot. And here's what people don't understand. I think that ICE has done some things they ought not do, and I think they've probably had some officers who've committed crimes. But that's not for Congress to decide. That's for the court system to decide. Right. It's like every time there's a police action, if a police officer, if you've got some rogue police officers and they do something wrong, then you charge them and you take them to court, and the Department of Justice is investigating this stuff. It's not like the Trump administration is sitting on its hands. But this is why I love body cams, because body cams give you a real-life picture, and you can see what was really going on, and sometimes it's going to show that the officer did err or that the officer, in fact, committed a crime. But in vast majority of cases, it's going to show that you had aggressive people who were attacking lawfully identified law enforcement officers. And so I don't understand what the Democrats want other than it plays well to their base, and they're looking at primaries, and so they're going to try to keep as much of this shut down as they can going. And it's absolutely it's just bad government. They don't care about government. All they care about is politics, and it's bad government at this point, with us now being in a heightened state of risk of having some people in the homeland go crazy to not fully fund all of our security and homeland security.
It's insane. It's also our cybersecurity is at risk, right? Because those are essential employees. They're going without pay. The whole CISA organization is going without pay. So this makes no sense. I mean, what in the middle of this war where we need to be protected, cutting off funding for the people that are going to protect Americans. Like, what are they doing? I mean, I don't see it. I don't see. I'm more bullish now about you guys winning the midterms than I've ever been. Who can vote for these people? They're nuts. I mean, what are you going to do? Vote for your own demise? I mean, destroy the economy? Have terrorist attacks? What are you voting for? Other than you just hate Trump. I don't get it. I think this economy is going to boom. I think what Trump's doing in Iran, everybody's looking at this saying, and then you got the Democrats saying, well, I thought you took the bombs out, a month ago. Well, they were building new ones. This was never going to end, Morgan. And now you're going to completely dismantle. They can't fund anybody. They can't fund China. They can't sell oil there. They're done. They're going to sink their whole Navy. That's done. They're going to open up the straits. That's done. Who could not be in favor of this?
Well, obviously most of the Democrats, if not all of them. And it is, not funding Homeland Security at a point when our security is threatened it's just bad governance, and just shows you all they care about is politics. They do not care about actual governance.
Just power. They don't give anything else. Yep. And we've said that forever. That's why they let all these illegals in, so they could manipulate the census, so they could get more electoral seats. You were the one that said that a month ago. That was what this whole thing was about, voting illegally, the whole bit. And they don't care who dies. To them, it's all collateral damage for the greater good. It's basically their view. And it's sick and it's sad. And I just don't think they're going to get rewarded with a majority. Hey, I've only got a couple of minutes, but man, I got to get you to comment on what is going on in Virginia. By the way, this is why we love having you on. In the infamous words of Morgan Griffith that will live forever, when asked about Abigail Spansberger's position, he said, John, she is the base. Boy, did you nail that. Can you even catch your breath about what they've done in there in one session? First of all, they tripled their pay. They just tripled it. Like, oh, we're for affordability. We're going to triple our pay. They've raised taxes on everything you can imagine. They put a fee on anything that moves. Everybody's paying more. Now they want collective bargaining for all public employees, which the Heritage Foundation has shown will raise taxes and expenses for every resident by $3,000, and they ran on affordability. Have you ever seen this?
Well, we've not seen it, but it's absolutely every bit of this is predictable because, and you're right, I did say that. Abigail Spanberger is the base. She's just as liberal as the Democrat base, and she's showing her true colors. I mean, I knew this and tried to convey that, and you were there when we did a tour. I was telling people this, but nobody wanted to believe it because, she seems so moderate. She seems so reasonable, and it isn't accurate. Now, let me take one issue with one of these, the pay increase. I'm not saying they did it right. I'm not saying that that's the right way to go. But the legislators in Virginia have not had an increase in their pay since 1989. And they needed a pay increase.
Right.
Now, did they do it the right way? Is it too much? Those are debatable.
Right.
But in all fairness, and I've told them for years, if you go out and there needs to be a pay raise, and I think we actually can attract better candidates across the board. Not that we don't have some good people there, but when you're doing it for what was considered to be a low rate in 1990, and it's now 2026. What happens is you only get the wealthy, or those who are so passionate about it that they're willing to not worry about the money. I did that for years. It wasn't about the money; it was about service. But it's hard when you've got a family,
right?
And all the years I was doing that, I didn't have children until the last couple. Mm-hmm. If you've got children, you got to raise and you got to put them through college. It's hard because while it's a part-time job, and I do not want to see them make the legislature full-time or go any further than they're doing right now, everybody spends, or most everybody spends a lot of time working their district or working on problems for their communities. And so it's more than just a 1/3 of your time. It's at least half of your time, even when you're not in Richmond. And then, of course, you lose January, February, and part of March every year, no matter what you do. You're going to be gone for at least 2 and a piece months. And so I think that they needed some kind of a pay raise, whether this is the right amount, whether they should have graduated it over a period of years. All of that can be argued about. But I always told them I would back them up, and so I keep my word. I told them I'd back them up if they did a pay raise. They've done one.
Well, you are man of your word. I'll never forget going to an Oysters with Obenchain event, and I guess it's Harrisonburg by James.
Right.
And so I went and did my show in his office the day before or the day of his cool Oysters with Obenchain, which is just a super event. And this was after he had run for Attorney General. I think he got beat by Herring and absentee ballot.
Right.
But
yeah, handful of votes. Right.
Handful. I remember going into his office. And I got a bunch of whiteboards in my office because I got to sell ads all day, keep this thing on the air because I don't do clickbait. And I go in there, he's got all these prospective clients laid out on a whiteboard. And I'm like, hey, what are these? And he says, I don't have any money. I'm broke. like I have to borrow money in order to pay my mortgage. I don't have any money. So, you run, your business goes down, your business suffers. And I said, well, you're going to run again? He said, I can't afford it. I don't have any money. And so I got to build my practice back up because, $15,000 in the state Senate ain't going to do it. So, you guys are tough. People don't realize. I mean, I talked to John Reed the other day. I said, are you going to run again? Maybe Senate. This is a good couple of months ago. He said, I'm broke. I don't have any money. I got to go make money. Right. So this is real. And so you have really good people like Reed or Obenchain. They just have to go work. And, I'm only doing this on a tiny scale running for DC GOP chairman. And even me, I'm on the phone at night trying to get signatures and raise money for an event. And it takes time away from your work. There's no question about it. It takes time away. There's an opportunity cost. So I'm going to go with you on that. Morgan, I always have these stories. We both do. I know you got to go, but 1 minute. You were saying something about Thomas Jefferson. Close that loop and we'll go.
Okay. So most people should have heard of this by now, but if not, here it is. Jefferson sent ships into the Mediterranean with orders to protect American shipping. But when it became clear, and there's arguments as to whether or not they were given orders just to attack anyway, but when it became clear that the Barbary pirates weren't going to negotiate except by gunboat diplomacy, they attacked. Congress never said that was a problem. They never said that was an illegal war. He knew when he sent the ships into the Mediterranean, there was a good likelihood there was going to be a conflict with the Barbary pirates. And later Congress would confirm what he had done, but nobody argued that he couldn't do it. And historically, we give the presidents a lot of latitude. I do think when you have a war, and this is a war, when you have a war that at some point, if this thing drags on, more than 3 or 4 weeks, the president's got to get a declaration. Or if we defeat this war powers resolution in both houses, I think that's tantamount to a declaration.
Congressman Morgan Griffith, you can follow him at griffith.house.gov, griffith.house.gov. Morgan, thanks for being with us. And as always, thank you for your candor. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You got it. Quick word from my sponsors and Senator Rose from West Virginia. He's trying to get in no income tax. He's trying to annex half of Virginia, half of Maryland. He's the rabble-rouser. We love having him on. Plus, we got to do a whole West Virginia weekly segment. Probably not going to do it during the morning. Probably do a separate show because it's too much fun. Whatever it is, Rose is going to be right in the middle of it. Up next, Senator Rose, West Virginia. Keep it right here.